Welcome to the Barbershop. I'm your host, Matt Horner, with the Bouncer. How you doing?
Doing good, man. As always,
Yeah.
excited to be here.
Walker is... I had a very exciting last week. We didn't have a show because my wife was having a baby. I was about to say I was having a baby. I could lose a few pounds, and that's probably not the best way to lose like 9 or 10 pounds right away. So, you know.
It's either the best way or the worst way.
Yeah, it's like, I just lost 9 pounds in an hour. They always say 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever. But it was so exciting to have little Liberty Millie Grace Horner. We couldn't decide on a name. I got so much stuff to talk about men in the hospital, babies being born today, and about just how it affected me and all that stuff. And
yeah, y'all had quite a time in the hospital.
I had quite a time. Had a little scare, and you get to be the fly on the wall in the hospital. You know, like your purpose was done 9 months ago, and now you're here just for support and all that stuff. And you're not the doctor, you're not the nurse, so you can't be there too much medically. You can have an opinion, which can be overruled. So, anyway,
you're just the coach, support team.
But what I was really excited about that didn't get to happen this time, but it happened on my first child, is the drive to the hospital. You know, because I feel like you wake up, the mama says, "Hey, I got to get to the hospital," and you're like, "All right," and you get everything in the car. It's always like this fast rush. You get to jump in the car and you get all excited, and you get to just feel like you get to break the laws, but yet be a hero. Get your wife to the hospital, and drive semi-fast, and get to go straight to the hospital.
Be the wife's hero.
Yeah.
No matter what, we're getting you there.
We're getting you there. That's the whole idea is like, man, I'm going to get her there, and make sure this baby is prepared. But I remember going through EMT school, having to learn to deliver babies, and we had to go through OB rotations and help deliver 5 babies. And I was thinking, oh, man, I don't want to have to. But I've always heard about medics having to deliver babies in ambulances. Mm-hmm. And you always hear the elevator scare. I've seen TV shows that had that, So you don't want to be that guy. But you do want to get her there. And if it's plane, trains, automobiles, everything, you're going to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do in my life. Delivering a baby roadside is definitely not one of them.
No, it was kind of tough. So... Yeah. Never done it, but I've heard lots of stories.
So you actually help deliver babies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Had to do 5. So before I ever was married. So, and then I've been around for all the births of my. So I guess I've seen 8 births.
That's cool.
And they were all vaginal births. Feels bad to say vaginal, but that's what it is.
That's what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. Keith, who's been on this podcast a lot.
Yeah.
He delivered their own.
He did?
Yeah. No midwife, no doctor.
Yeah, I always love talking to those guys.
Just did it himself. I think he did a little bit more than YouTubing it, but that's
I imagine there is a YouTube video though there. Probably because there's a video
step
for everything.
By step,
you're like, that'd be funny. Like your wife goes into labor, is like, hold on, baby, I'm pulling up Google. I'm Googling.
Yeah.
Let me Google this and stuff. But I've heard about people having. There's a person who had at my wife's work who had their baby on the way to the hospital, and they had it in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that didn't happen this time. But my wife's water broke. It came in 30 minutes. And we live over 30 minutes from the hospital, so I was kind of glad. I'd have been really having a heavy foot.
Yeah.
So, babies can come pretty fast. A woman at church said her baby came in 5 minutes. That just seemed hard.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So, I remember at EMT school, they said if you're a medic and you go to the house and the lady says, I need to go to the bathroom, you're supposed to tell her, hold it, don't go, because especially if the woman says, she's a woman, a mom of 6 or 4, because as the more babies you have, the easier they come out. And it was crazy, the more you have, the better of a mom you can be in some ways.
Huh.
So
how many days did y'all spend in the hospital then?
Spent 3, yeah. So it was different in the sense of we thought we would be getting out pretty soon, and then they said they thought they could hear a heart murmur, and they thought we were going to transfer Little Liberty to a children's hospital, and they did hear one, and
That's scary.
and so to me that was a hole in the heart. I just kind of like, that's not supposed to be there, and it scared me. I mean, immediately I texted out, please pray, and anxiety came over me and Sarah, and I think it was justified, but we didn't know. And then within a few hours, the holes closed up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nature took its course, and God answered prayers. But just how quick things can turn, from you thinking you're having a healthy kid, and then within somebody walking into the room and saying, "Hey, there's something wrong," and you think, "Oh, I didn't think anything was wrong," and how quick your mindset can change on a dime, just like, whoop.
Yeah,
just like, and then that was pretty shocking and unnerving. But within overnight, we knew everything would be good, and laid it in God's hands.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was kind of tough too, because we've had miscarriages in the past, and so this wouldn't be technically a miscarriage, but the babies prior to this was that way, and so you had this hidden fear in you.
Yeah, and then anytime they come in and they say something like that, like all of your fears just all of a sudden
they
kind of erupt and they bubble up to the top, and you're just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What is it?
And then how do you handle that? And we asked for prayer and just started praying and thanking God for what we have. Yeah. And it got better.
It's beautiful, man.
So, yeah, it is beautiful in the sense that we were blessed to have that. And it's funny though when you see it in sporting events. My son's playing flag football, and a kid gets hurt, and two kids ran their heads into each other at one game recently, like two rams, like two billy goats, and just almost knocked each other out. And we're talking first graders, but still they're 50 pounds each. Plus.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
And they didn't mean to. It was, but man, both those mamas just jumped up. You looked at the dads. You could tell the dads are kind of not acting like the moms, but their eyes are open and their ears are wide. Like an animal in nature with their ears turned and everything. Like, I'm listening, I'm watching. We're gonna see. And the boys shook it off and they took them off the field. But how quick, your parent instinct just comes up with your child from just being a few hours old, a day old, like I had last week. She's actually a week old today, Liberty, to 7 years old, and your kid knocks his head out or, whatever. You're just like, what? And parental instincts. So
it is fast. It is amazing how fast it can change.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So
speaking of other things, though, that can change pretty quick, when the leaves start falling.
Yep. That parental instinct of taking my son hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. Went to the Walmart and was getting diapers and baby wipes, and I realized, hey, let's grab some deer corn. And
from the moment you threw it over your shoulder, you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it is coming. And then my wife's like, okay, I got to go look at some stuff. And I'm like over there. And so I remember, I'm grabbing a deer feeder. They got a really cool automatic deer feeder, so it was cheap, less than $100. So I'm throwing all this deer stuff in there. Then I thought, ooh, crossbows. Now in Texas you can hunt deer with a crossbow, which is like the dummy way of, I guess, hunting with a real bow, but that's the way I want to hunt. So I'm like looking at all these crossbows and stuff, and next thing you know, I'm like, man, I can rack up $1,000 in Walmart on deer season, so I can have 20 pounds of deer meat. And that's what you need. You need 100-pound deer meat for the fridge. You don't want the family to starve.
You're definitely paying for the experience. You're not paying for the meat.
Yeah. I was getting all excited about it and everything, and then getting to take my kids, and I thought, well, if Liberty keeps being a quiet little baby sleeping, I'll take her to the deer blind behind my house, and we'll just sit there and I'll rock her and wait for a deer. And Sarah's like, well, what are you gonna do if the deer comes? I said, well, I'll put little earmuffs on her and set her down in a car seat And so it's funny though how, and then the Great Migration. We live out in the country. Me and you were blessed, but you see, like we go into the Walmart here, and you see the Fort Worth city dwellers coming to the lease or wherever they're from.
Yep.
And you look at the rigs like out in the parking lots of the restaurants and
it's crazy
wherever we're at, and it's just like they got a $20,000 Razor or $14,000 Polaris, thousands in guns. I mean, you got like a small fortune to be a hunter in Texas.
It is crazy. Yeah, you'll see them at Allsup's pulling up or whatever, and you're, man alive. And some of them have like a truck that's designated just for hunting.
Yeah.
It's all camoed out or,
Custom welding work done, seats and everything.
Yeah.
And LED lights, and you're just like, man. And then some of that stuff's really cool. But I got to thinking about how much I spend, and I own my own land. I'm not having to do a lease, and I sometimes get to go with some friends to some other places. But I don't pay I know these guys who pay $10, $15 an acre to hunt, and so it's $100 an acre. I mean, $10 an acre at 100 acres, $1,000 to hunt that 100 acres. So you stop and think about, and then a white-tailed deer here is about 20 to 35 pounds, depending on how big it is.
Yeah, that you can actually get. Yeah,
of meat that you can actually eat.
Yeah,
and I started just doing the math, and you could be like, you're gonna be paying quite a bit of money.
Oh yeah,
for that meat per pound.
But all those memories are priceless.
They're priceless. Yeah, I think I'd rather go to like Cozumel though, or to the beach, or go deep sea fishing, or yeah. But it is.
Yeah, because after all that, it's not over. You still got to wake up at 4 a.m. when it's 42 degrees outside, and go sit in the blind.
Yeah. Do you like to hunt?
I like it when I'm out there.
Do you take your girls hunting?
No.
Did you ever try to?
I always want to. It's just like I always got like more pressing things to do.
Do they ever? I mean, are they into that thing?
No, not really. Like there's a couple of times they'd be like, it'd be kind of fun to go hunting. We'll kind of plan on it, and then it easily gets bumped out of the way by something else.
Yeah. So they're not like if the movies came around or hunting,
right?
Yeah, we're going to that.
Movies went out.
Yeah. So
I hunt every now and then, but not very often.
You come from a family of outdoors people. Your brother, especially Leighton, is the one I think of. He's like the fish whisperer, I think.
Yeah, and mostly when they talk about whisperers, they they're friends to the animals, like the horse whisperer. Dog whisperer, but Leighton just eats them. So
so Leighton's not really that. He's a fish slayer.
Fish slayer, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and deer hunting. I mean, they go through some deer and.
I remember being a little boy, and now that I'm a dad and I'm the roles are reversed. Just the aggravation. I would my dad took us to a deer camp. He had a lease, and the men would sit around the campfire, listening to the high school football game on the old school radio.
That's cool.
And they would drink beer. My dad didn't drink alcohol. He didn't, but and we went to a really strong religious church that kind of shunned alcohol at the time. And I remember being around those men that were drinking, and it didn't bother my dad. And but because of the environment I was raised in, I thought them guys were next to druggies. You know what I'm saying? And I was probably first grade, and I remember looking at him going, "The Lord don't like you to drink, sir. No, He doesn't."
You told him that, or you?
And the guys just look at me. They look at my dad, and my dad just shakes his head. Then he tells me to go to bed, go to the tent. We were staying in a little cabin tent, and so he goes, "Matt," I said, "Daddy, they shouldn't be drinking." And I don't know why. I still have opinions, and I had them then too.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Sometimes it's best just to keep your mouth shut." But I remember, the stresses I'd put on my dad at the deer stand, and the biggest time is we're driving in this old beat up truck, and when I went hunting, there was no such thing as these razors and four wheelers and side by sides. We had just beat up 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive trucks. And so we're in this old Chevy that my granddad bought new, but by the time we got it passed down to us, it pretty wore out. And Dad gets out, and we start climbing up the deer stand. It was an elevated deer stand with a little wooden ladder like made out of 2x4s and plywood.
Okay.
And we open up the door, and an owl has made its nest because we'd left the windows open inside that deer stand. And when we open up that door, those owl eyes are looking straight at us. It's like a foot from our face, you know. And my dad goes, whoa, when he slams it, you know, when he slams the door, the owl flies out the window. And we open it up, and there's all these little, 2 little baby owls,
you know,
cool. Right there. And so my dad let them stay there for a little bit until the mama could move them. And so that was like one of my favorite as a kid, like, whoa, there's owls in our deer. And it was just really neat. And then we came across a big rattlesnake, and my dad didn't want to shoot his gun at the rattlesnake one time. Same type of deer stand, you know, we're walking up. Mm-hmm. He'd used some oak trees to anchor the deer stand. And so we're tied next to the oak tree is this huge rattlesnake, and it's rattling. My dad goes, I said, shoot him. He goes, no. And he grabs like a big oak limb that had fell, you know, like a dead piece of wood. Yeah. And just bludgeons that rattlesnake to death. And I'm just sitting there thinking, my dad is a badass. Like, he can kill wildlife with his bare hands. He's like, don't use the gun. I use club.
Yeah. Why waste bullet?
Why waste bullet, you know? And I don't know. I mean, he made so much racket beating the thing.
Yeah, wasn't
if
much of a win.
Close, yeah. If anything was close, it was God. But he didn't shoot his gun.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. My brother had that for years. I don't know what happened. My dad had it.
The skin?
The skin, we tacked it up on a board. And my brother put it in his room. It was long, you know.
That's cool.
That was really cool. And then several, we'd be riding in the truck, same truck. And that's the thing. My twin brother has the Woodrow, who's been on the show, has the exact truck now, and he's restored it.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
But it was this beat up Chevy, and all of our trips, Boy Scout trips and everything, went on the same vehicle, you know. And men have that, you know. You have this one vehicle, like, man, it was a Bronco, or it was an International Scout, or.
Is it not like the coolest? Like, those old trucks have their own smell.
Yeah.
Like, you get in it, no matter how long.
It's kind of like it's that.
It smells good.
That Chevy truck that, you know, the grease smell that you used to grease your U-joints with.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of the smell of just kind of grease that truck does, and that exhaust smell.
And it's like in itself doesn't smell good. But all the nostalgia and memories that you have tied to those old trucks, you know, whether it's your grandma's old LTD or you know, your grandpa's, you know, 87 Chevy, you know, or whatever it is.
Yeah, Grandma had a Crown Vic I borrowed a few times. Had a big V8 in it. It was awesome. Yeah. So those are cool rides, and I've often wanted to go back and like buy some of them and like make them my daily driver. But then I go back in them, and the wind noise and the radios are horrible. You know, there's normally just one speaker in the center of the dash.
Yeah.
So the noise is for music and stuff is just horrible.
I remember in the old Suburbans, you know, that front little triangle window. You know, you could turn that around so that it really brought the wind in. You know,
the crotch window, what I call that. The crotch window, because if you had no AC, man, it was like nice.
Oh man, it was nice. It just shot it right to you. Yeah. But like for some reason, like once you opened it one time, if you ever closed it, like that rubber was forever ruined.
It was forever ruined.
Yeah, there's always a little whistle that came through that little.
Yeah, I remember hitting my fist on the corner like. You know, because you're listening to, that's good George Strait right there. And it's like whistling. You're like sitting there beating on the window, like, I got to hear my radio. Yeah. Oh, man. Those are the vehicles.
Oh, man.
And now, you know, my wife's car is a real nice Toyota. You shut that, and the person who shuts the door last, you feel like an air pressure in the car.
You got to like rub your ears.
They're so tight.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is pretty, you know. In those old cars, you could just fart, and it'd be gone in a little bit, you know. These new ones, man, you really oven yourself.
I always tell my kids how spoiled they are. You know, like, we grew up with Suburbans. You know, 8 kids, you had to have a Suburban. And like those door handles, you know, have the little square you got to push. And when you're like 6 years old, and you got 2 thumbs pushing as hard as you can trying to get that thing.
But they never broke.
They never broke. They never did.
Yeah.
You might broke your finger.
I've seen some plastic door handles break today. I think, but then little kids, and they didn't need child locks back then because the 6-year-old couldn't open the door.
I think we
have these child locks now that these kids can't open the door, and it's funny. Yeah, those doors were heavy too. Yeah. And those Suburbans are neat with the fold-down seats. And I remember going on a youth hunt with my youth minister. We shot some deer and put them in the back of his wife's Suburban, because the seats would fold down. Man, was she mad, But he like, well, honey, I put a tarp down and all this stuff. It still smelled like dead deer in there.
Yeah,
and all
it does.
That. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Great hunting. So, I mean, all excited about hunting coming up with Charlie. We got, me and him, we got the deer feeders going and got the timer going. We went last night and looked to see for tracks. And so got him a little bow, my 7-year-old, practicing his archery.
Is he pretty ecstatic about it then?
Yeah, but the bow he has, I'm going to let him bring it, but it doesn't have the pounds to kill a deer. But, he feels like he brought his weapon.
Yeah. What do you usually need about 50 PSI?
Or the 40 pounds, and then, but 40 to 50 for a whitetail. Mm-hmm. That's what I've read. I've never actually shot a deer yet with the bow. I'd like to.
I've heard once you do it, once you're hooked.
Like
you
never
want to go back to rifle.
I just feel like, because I did a rifle last year and it was real easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're feeding them to a deer feeder. They're coming to eat at the buffet.
But you are low fence. So that's,
I am low fence.
There's so many now that just shoot high fence. Mm-hmm. That's hardly even a game at that point, isn't it?
Yeah. And especially if it's like less than 1,000 acres high fenced.
Yeah.
1,000 acres sounds like a lot.
At that point, you should be pulling out the Bowie knife and just jumping out of the tree on them,
Yeah, it should just be karate.
Yeah.
At that point. It's going to be fist and the deer, and whoever wins. Yeah. Yeah. That's Clarence Horner style. Grab the stick and bludgeon it.
Yeah. Kill a rattlesnake, they'll kill a whitetail.
Yeah. But I got a little girl now, Liberty, just born, and I want to be able to do this with all of them. My wife says, my daddy always took my brother to go hunt, and as fathers, we often think of things to do with just boys. You got a little boy coming, but you're a house full of girls, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I guess, yeah, we'll go fishing and stuff like that. It's the hunting. I guess I'm just bad about all the prep work because, you don't want to just go out there and just, set up in a lane with no prep work. You want to have some deer feeders that have been there for the last month or so, getting them to come up.
You got to invest some time.
You got to invest some time.
It's easier for me because it's at my house and you got to travel a little bit.
Yeah. It's really not that hard. It's just an excuse. Yeah. I just haven't done it. And none of them are really crazy about it. So if there was one that just really wanted to do it,
you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah. Which they've never done it, so that's probably why they never really get excited about it.
Even for me, it's discouraging when you start thinking about the money you spent, in the sense of, like, I spent $80 in corn and I bought a deer feeder, and you think, okay, we're already upside down in this deal, and I think too much business minded. I start budgeting and doing things like that, and you think you can't do that when it comes to fun. When it comes to, I guess you got to do it somewhat. You can't go negative in your personal account or whatever, but if you be too business minded on it, you ruin the fun.
Oh yeah, it's definitely way more than a transaction. I mean, I know my dad. It's like I have 7 brothers and sisters, and Dad would load us all up, and then he'd load a couple extra cousins, and we'd all go fishing or whatever we're going to do, whether it's hiking or fishing, just whatever. And if you look at it on a fiscal level, it was completely irresponsible for him to do that.
Yeah,
all the fishing rods we broke, all the string that we got caught up in weeds and whatnot, and he hardly ever got to fish because he was always fixing our lures or whatever it is. But all the memories that we created is it's amazing. I was looking at some old 8mm film a couple of months ago, and it's him down by the lake, and he's surrounded by 3 or 4 of my cousins. And he's sitting there working on a fishing rod. He's just like nodding his head back and forth, just like,
why did I do this to myself? I've taken the Boy Scouts and another group that you've helped with, Lone Star Youth Hunts, and but I've seen that same situation, where, and I'm not much of a fisherman. I mean, I can do it. I can tie certain things, but I'm not gonna really show you the best way to do things.
Right.
But the frustration level, it's funny how when the as men, when you were the boy and now you're the parent or the sponsor of an event, the fun quickly loses its luster. Yeah. So, but exciting to see deer season come around, and it is kind of funny to see how we lose our minds and want to spend our extra cash and our time on things, and when it comes to outdoor events like hunting. and dove season and things like that. But excited with a new baby in this world to hopefully share that with.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So go out there, make babies, kill deer. That's the Barbershop.
You heard it here.